Today we're going to be talking about Maedhros. If you're new here, welcome to Heart of a Halfling, where we talk about Lord of the Rings and do some Lord of the Ring things. So let's get started. So today I want to talk about the life of Maedhros, and in particular, I want to talk about how we see the curse of Maedhros weigh on Maedhros and where he begins versus where he ends. So to start off with, Maedhros is the eldest son of Feanor. He was born in Valinor, and when Feanor was exiled to Formenos, Maedhros went with him. And when Feanor decides he wants to go to Beleriand, Maedhros is right there with him, and he takes part in the kinslaying of Alqualande, and he hears of the doom of Maedhros. At this point, he's taken the oath once with Feanor to retake the Silmarils, and so far, Maedhros is a very loyal son, and whatever Feanor says to do, Maedhros is right there behind him. However, we begin to see a slight change in Maedhros when Feanor takes the ships of the Alqualande and crosses over the Helcaraxe and leaves behind Fingelfin's group. And when he crosses over, Maedhros asks him, who are you going to send back to go and gather everybody else? And Feanor says, no one. We're going to burn the ships. And Maedhros is the only one who stands aside and decides he does not want to take part in this. Like, he's drawing the line. Like, he felt that there was some right in the kinslaying, that they weren't agreeing with Feanor. And so he was all for fighting for the cause, but leaving behind one family and also like people who have been sticking with Feanor, leaving those behind. It seems to be where Maedhros is like, no, this is going too far. Now we're leaving behind our own people and betraying our own people. So here we begin to see like a small shift in Maedhros. And so we have Feanor going off, doing his solo mission to go and kill Morgoth, dying or wounding himself in this endeavor, and then his son's coming to get him at the moment where he's dying. And Feanor calls his sons to once again take on this oath and recommit to the oath to reclaim the Silmarils. And they do. So Maedhros now has committed twice to an oath that he's already been informed is going to be fatal for him. Like, he's not going to be able to fulfill this oath, and he will die in the endeavor. But Maedhros is staying a loyal son. But now with Feanor not being alive, he's no longer king. That puts it on Maedhros. So now Maedhros is the new High King of the Noldor. However, this doesn't last very long. And in a weird attempt, or what Maedhros thought was an actual attempt, was actually a trap by Morgoth to have this embassy and maybe come to some sort of agreement. And Maedhros and his brothers go to this really hesitant about what's going on, but they go. And of course, it's a trap, and everybody is either is able to escape, is slaughtered, but Maedhros is taken captive, and he's taken to Angband. We have now the story of Maedhros being hung on the precipice of Thangorodrim by his right hand and just being stuck there. And we have Fingon, his cousin. Fingelfin and his group have been able to cross the Helcaraxe, and Fingon is the only one willing to go after Maedhros and rescue him. And he tries, and we have this very sorrow-filled story of a cousin wanting to rescue another, but Maedhros is he's done. He's been tortured. He's now hanging here, and he's over it, and he's done. He's pleading for his death, basically. And Fingon, in this very, doesn't know what to do now. I guess I'm going to, end the suffering of my cousin, prepares to kill Maedhros, but we have Thorondor The king of eagles fly down and takes Fingon to Maedhros and is able to rescue Maedhros. And so we have this image of Maedhros just being at the end of his line, right? Like he's done. But once he's rescued, he still has, he's been under the light of the trees. He's able to heal very quickly and well. And now, despite not having his dominant hand, he learns to wield a sword even better with his left hand. And now he's this great swordsman. And so you see this kind of like new life in Maedhros. And going even beyond just the physical aspect, Maedhros decides that he shouldn't be king. That technically it should go to Fingolfin because he was the next son to Finwë. So it makes sense that Fingolfin should be the new king. And now the other sons of Feanor don't agree with this, but Maedhros was like, no, this is what's for the best. It should go to him. So you see like more of this honor idea in Maedhros. Now, with the sons of Feanor being very hot-headed, Maedhros quickly realizes that the entire group cannot stay together, that they need to begin to separate, and he needs to get the sons of Feanor away from everybody else, basically, because they're just causing too much tension. And so Maedhros gets all the sons of Feanor to leave, and he takes up land on the hill of Himring, and now we have the March of Maedhros, which is like this big, point of protection for the rest of Beleriand against Angband. So again, we have this point of humility and heroism and the selflessness to think of the rest of the group from Maedhros. Like, he's definitely taking more of an opposite line of thought than Feanor did. Feanor was very much like, this is what I want, and this is what we're going to do because I want it. Whereas Maedhros seems to be thinking more of the group, of the collective benefit of everybody. So now we have the story of Beren and Luthien, and Beren's ability to retrieve one of the Silmarils. Well, this gets back to Maedhros, and we're starting to see a shift now. So Celegorm and Curufin are the main ones who are writing back or sending messages to Thingol saying, you need to give us the Silmaril. Now, Thingol's already upset with Celegorm and Curufin because they basically abandoned his daughter and took her captive and then abandoned her. So he's not real keen on listening to anything they have to say. And Maedhros, however, sees this as an opportunity of if Beren and Luthien, granted Luthien is half Maiar, but Beren's just a man. So if Beren and Luthien were able to get all the way into Angband and be able to take a Silmaril right from the crown of Morgoth, surely the sons of Feanor, all of the Noldor, all that are in Beleriand, surely they could all come together and fight against Morgoth and reclaim the Silmarils. And so now we have the union of Maedhros. Of course, Thingol doesn't want to partake in this, again, because he's not real keen on the sons of Feanor, so he doesn't really want to help them. And so there's this attempt, though, with everybody else to attack Morgoth, and obviously it fails, and we have the Battle of Unnumbered Tears. And this forces Maedhros and the other sons of Feanor to scatter. And so Maedhros and his brothers end up living in Osirion and are just waiting there now on what to do. So now we have Thingol still having the Silmaril, and now we have Huor, who also brings Thingol the necklace of Nargothrond. And Thingol has this greed about him, right? The Silmarils are taking effect on him, and so he wants to adorn himself with the Silmaril and this great necklace by the dwarves. And out of his pride, he ends up dying by the dwarves. And so now we have the Silmaril kind of going on this little journey. It goes to Beren and Luthien. Dior is now leading Doriath. And then he learns that Beren and Luthien have died. So now he has the Silmaril. So now the Silmaril is back in Doriath. Now, the Sons of Feanor didn't want to even attempt to take the Silmaril away from Beren and Luthien. But now that Dior has it, Maedhros is now, you have the Silmaril and the oath weighing on Maedhros here. And he wants to claim the Silmaril. And Dior obviously is like, no, we're not going to do that. So now we have the second kinslaying. We have Maedhros and the Sons of Feanor coming to attack Doriath and reclaim the Silmaril. And here, I think, is an important point in Maedhros' line and the weight of the oath on him. We have the attack on Doriath, but in particular, we have Elured and Elurin, who are the sons of Dior. And the Sons of Feanor have taken Elured and Elurin. It's unknown how old they are. It's pretty reasonable to believe that they're fairly young, though, because they were taken out to the woods and then just left there to die. So I would assume they have to be at least young enough to not be able to fend for themselves. Maedhros regrets this and tries to go back and get Elured and Elurin, but he can't find them. And I think this is an important point because later when we have Elrond and Elros, the weight of the Oath of the Silmaril has weighed so much on Maedhros, and I think because he feels that maybe they've gone too far with Elured and Elurin, he doesn't even care about Elrond and Elros. Like, it just feels like he like there's a shift at this point where the Oath of the Silmarils have just overtaken Maedhros. Like, the loss of the sons, it's all just too much for him. And there's just a breaking point here. And so now we have, some time goes by, and Maedhros later learns that Elwing has the Silmarils in Sirion, or the Silmaril in Sirion. And there's a point where Maedhros knows this but doesn't attack. And I think this is because he has to be feeling bad about her brothers, about them just being left to die. He has to feel bad about that. But again, the weight of the Silmarils is just, he has no choice, or at least he feels like he has no choice. And he ends up attacking, and is now a part of 3 kinslayings. This is the third, the last, and the most grievous kinslaying. And so now we have him in Maglor taking Elrond and Elros. And again, these twins are specifically called half-elven, but Elurin and Elros, or Elurin and Elurid, are also half-elven, Maiar, and man. But these two, so it's very parallel and similar. And we see Maedhros again in the same position of having 2 boys taken captive. And it seems like Maedhros does not care. Maglor is the one who finds pity on the boys and finds love for them. And we have this sort of new family, which I find a little curious. It just seems a little weird. Like, I mean, unless Elrond and Elros are very young and they don't know what's happening, it just seems weird that they would have love for someone who has killed everybody that they know. So they have to be young. And so I don't know, like, it all has to be very reminiscent to Maedhros, to the situation of Elured and Elurin. But he does not care. And I think that is pivotal in Maedhros. He doesn't, like, as soon as he can't rescue Elured and Elurin, it's almost like he doesn't care anymore at that point. Like, he tries to by not attacking Elwing right away, but it doesn't matter. He still does. And so there's just this, I don't know, there's this point of, like, Maedhros has reached a point of no return. And so now we have the, some time goes by. We have the Valar coming and attacking Morgoth and obtaining the last Silmarils. And Maedhros, again, I think he just feels like there's just no point anymore. Like, his only purpose now is to fulfill this oath, and he doesn't care about anything else, even at the cost of his brother now, and his only brother that's left, and convinces his brother to go after and steal from the Herald of Manwë. Like, this is a very bold and reckless move. But he convinces his brother to do it. They do it, and now it finally settles on him while he's holding the Silmaril in his hand that this was all pointless. He has no right to the Silmaril. And the frustration he had to have, because think about it, Maglor knows that he doesn't have the right to the Silmaril, and he only throws the Silmaril and doesn't kill himself. Now he walks the shore singing of sorrow and regret. But Maedhros is like, this is so pointless. Like, everything that he's done and been a part of is all for nothing. And the frustration he had to feel, because he doesn't only get rid of the Silmaril, he throws himself in the chasm as well. And like, I feel for Maedhros, because we now see this full outline and story of a person who was loyal to his father. This is a loyal son, right? And he is committing to the mission and purpose that his father has laid out. He sees his father going a little too far in leaving those that took part in the kinslaying, those who have followed him. He sees that his father is leaving those behind, so he's drawing this line there. And you see Maedhros kind of taking a step back of like, maybe my father wasn't right in this endeavor. And we see him also being broken down by being tortured and being held captive by Morgoth. And so now he gives up the kingship, right? So we see this humility in Maedhros, and this realization of, maybe my father wasn't right. But he is still committed to this oath twice. And even though he may at one point not have agreed with Feanor, it doesn't matter. The oath weighs on him a little more. Every time we hear of Maedhros, every time we see him, it's just weighing a little bit more on him. And we see him making more and more foolish decisions, more and more of Feanor in Maedhros. And when we have the killing of Elured and Elurin, this, I feel, is just a point where Maedhros is like, that's it. There's no return from this. He feels regret. He doesn't attack Elwing, but still, the oath has weighed on him so much, and the death of Elured and Elurin have weighed on him so much that he's just like, I don't care. The Silmarils are supposed to come to the sons of Feanor, and I'm going to take them. And so the pain that he had to have felt of like, I have no ownership to this. The kinslayings, the death of the sons of these two boys means nothing. And so he dies with the Silmaril. Like, his story is just so tragic to me. Because at first I was like, this is a cool guy. Like, I like him. He has gone through a lot, and yet he's pulling himself up by the bootstraps, right? He's taking in some humility. He's thinking about the group. And so it's sad and tragic to see the oath just weigh so heavily on him, and to see such a turn from where he began to where he ended, and the regret he had at the very end. It's just all very tragic to me, and I want to talk about it. And just this poor guy. And it makes me even more angry with Feanor for committing his sons to an oath twice that he knew would be the death of him. And so the frustration that Maedhros had, because he was a loyal son, and to see that that was all for nothing, that his father doomed him to his death twice, is just sad. It's sad. So I wanted to talk about the sad, sad life of Maedhros because now we've gotten through his whole story. Yeah. This was a bit of a ramble, but I hope you guys still enjoyed this. And if you have any thoughts or opinions that contradict mine, please let me know. I want to hear your opinions. But ultimately, my opinion still is that Feanor sucks. He made a lot of poor choices, and we see Maedhros making a lot of the same poor choices, especially at the end. So, yeah, it's just a sad tale of, and this is very much of like fate versus free will. Like, by taking the oath, they sealed their fate. And so, no matter what happened, he was going to die in the endeavor of these Silmarils. All the sons of Feanor were. But there was still a point of free will. The choices that they can make along the path. Like we see Maglor making a different choice, right? Of not killing Elrond and Elros, and instead choosing to have pity on them and to love them and to give them some essence of a home, because it says that Elrond and Elros, had love for Maglor. So it's not like Maedhros had no choice in the matter. There was still a choice because Maglor makes a different choice, right? But still, I really think Elrond and Elros just did a number on Maedhros and was just kind of that final tipping point. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, it's just a ramble, but I wanted to talk about Maedhros and just his tragic journey. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and ultimately, I hope you guys have a wonderful, blessed week, and may your homes be filled with food and cheer. Bye.